The input and output channels are now part of the project window. So if we come over to the track list right here and scroll down, we'll find input and output channels. And normally these will be located at the top of the interface if you start a new empty project. But right now they're down here, and that folder for the input-output channels is open. I'll close it and then open it again. Now it is the input and output channels folder, but why do we only see the stereo output? Well, the reason why is because if you had like a 24 or 48 input audio interface and you open this folder and all of them were always visible, then it would just take a lot of space inside of that track list. So again, they've made it possible to only see the input and output channels that you want to have in that folder. But let's add my stereo input channel to the input-output channels folder in the project window. And to do that, all you do is enable the automation on that input. So this is the stereo input that I have configured from inside my audio connections window under the inputs tab. So here's my stereo input on my audio interface. And if I want to be able to see that in the project window, I'm just going to turn on the write automation. And that's the first advantage in having the input and output channels visible in the project window, is that you can automate the inputs as well as the outputs. But there's some other nice things that you can do as well. I'm going to turn off the write automation, and now that it's part of my track list, what I can do is add track presets to the inputs. So I would right or control click on that stereo input channel and then choose Load Track Presets, and that will reveal the browser. And now what I'll do is say I want to choose something from the guitar category, and this is an electric guitar that I have plugged in, and then maybe blues. Well, here's a couple of different presets. So if I load the 1960s blues onto that stereo input, I can come over to the Inspector tab and I can look at what has been added. So you can see that there's an amplifier simulator that's been added to the input, as well as a modulator, which is the mod machine, and a limiter as well. So any track that I record from that stereo input now will get recorded with those effects. So let's add a new audio track right here. I'm going to choose one track, and that will appear right down here. Then anything I record onto that track gets recorded through those input effects. So I have my guitar plugged in, and so if I play it now, we'll be able to hear those effects. If I wanted to use different effects, I can come back to the stereo input, right or control click on it, and load a different track preset. Here's Jimmy's Rhythm, and it will sound a little bit different than the other one. Let's come back to this track and make sure that it is record enabled so I can hear what's going on. And that's the other big advantage to having the inputs available to you in the project window, is the ability to add the presets to the inputs instead of just the tracks. And next, let's talk about staying up to date.